Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Simsbury Planning Commission. Today is Tuesday, March 26th, 2019. I'd like you all to join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, is that the same? Thank you.
We'll take the roll call. Holly Bem.
Here?
David Blooming. Here. Aaron Levitt-Smith.
Here.
Craig McCormack. Here. Alan Needham. Here. William Rice. Here. Elizabeth Burt.
Present.
Richard Cortez. Here. Gary Lungarini. Absent. Okay, we have a full contingent of regular members tonight, so I will not be asking any of the alternates to be promoted tonight, but thank you for listening to what goes on from this point on here. Next on the agenda, approval of minutes. Mr. Needham, can you walk us through that, please?
Yep, this would be the March 12th meeting. Okay, March 12th, first page, any corrections, additions? Okay, page 2. Either sentence of page 3.
I move to accept the minutes of the March 12th, 2019 minutes as submitted.
Second.
Second.
Yeah, we had, I think Craig, who's second? David?
No.
Craig?
Yeah. Yep.
Craig. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstained, I wasn't here.
Holly Bem abstains herself. Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda. Old business. So we have no current public hearings. We did receive an application at our last meeting. I'll just read the application here. Application number 19-01 of Jordan Blumberg and Chloe Blumberg, applicants. Joseph M. Green, agent. John Ashmore, owner, for a one-lot subdivision on the property located at 62 Laurel Lane, Assessor's Map E06, Block 107, Lot 073B, Zone R25. And we must render our decision by May 16th, 2019. Okay, so we received the application last time, but the applicant was not present. Would the applicant like to say any, is the applicant here?
I'm the applicant.
Okay, would you like to describe the application to us, please?
Yeah, well, Joe Green, my engineer,
Okay.
will do a better job than I will.
Sure.
Yeah, the application, by the way, my name's Joe Green from Robert Green Associates, 6 Old Waterbury Road, Terryville, Connecticut. Mr. Glidden had written a report, I don't know if you guys had gotten that, but basically this particular lot, 62 Laurel Lane, back in the 60s was cut out from another larger parcel, creating this lot by deed, and they never presented maps to you for approval before the commission. So basically what we're here for is to get approval for that cut. Within your packet is a site plan for a house. So we got approval from, now we have approval from Farmington Valley Health District, and Mike should have a letter that states approval for that. And then also in the packet is an existing conditions map that shows that we obviously meet the lot area, setbacks, frontage, the developable area within the topographic limits. So we met all of the regulations for that zone.
Just to get my bearings, so Laurel Lane is where it is, but what's the cross street to reference? I'm just trying to get my bearings as to where it's at.
Firetown Road,
Thank you. So it's off Firetown?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Runs between Firetown and Great Pond.
Okay.
And is there an existing structure?
No,
Was there a structure at any time?
not that I'm aware of, no.
And there's a for sale sign out there now, I think?
Yes, John here is the owner.
Yep.
Okay. And which, if I'm looking at this little colored, you're familiar with this?
Yes,
Which lot are we
Green.
talking about?
green.
The green.
Correct. So basically, it was the blue and the green that were together prior to 1963, and then in 1963, they split that lot into two, creating the green and the blue. Or the previous page, the blue. So on page 2, the shape was blue prior to 1963.
Is there a house on the blue?
Yes.
Okay, that's why they split.
Correct.
That makes sense.
Okay, so the subdivision was never applied for nor granted.
Correct.
Do the town maps show this as a separate lot?
Yeah, this has been carried as a separate lot going back to the 60s. So it was a case where, the division was created, tax bills went out, just didn't go through the proper channels of coming to the Planning Commission for actually authorization. If you go back to my staff report where Joe was kind of alluded to, in 1952, they were allowed a free split, and that's where 60 Laurel Lane was created. And the only assumption is that based on the lack of approvals that were required for that at the time, the owner, because of the way the statute read prior to 1954, said that if you had less than 5 lots and you didn't create a road, you didn't have to go to the Planning Commission. My guess is that's where the miscommunication occurred. The owner thought in the 60s that was still the rule of thumb, so therefore they felt they weren't subject to a subdivision. I'm just speculating.
Right, but there was a
But there was a
regulation change.
Statute was changed and a regulation in place. So this, in 1963, when 62 Laurel Lane was created, on page 3 of my report, the green slot, that should have came to the Planning Commission at the time. But as Joe kind of pointed out, this lot meets all the design. It's a unique situation where it meets all of the design criteria for lots in the R25 zoning district. It meets lot area, the minimum square is within, there's no environmentally sensitive areas that would prohibit or limit the ability to locate a buildable area on this lot. The lot meets the required frontage width, etc. So it's kind of, it's a little different situation for the commission where you're, as I kind of said in my page 1 of my staff report, you're in a position where under the general state statutes, the Planning Commission has a power that's, you don't use that often pursuant to 8-26H, and that's legalizing or validating previously approved or previously divided lots. So that's really what he's here for. That's why it says a 1-lot subdivision, because
Right.
really you can't have a 1-lot subdivision. You gotta have, something's gotta come from it. So you would be legalizing this lot, a little different than the average application. And so and also the applicant was not at the last meeting because they failed to secure approval from the health district. The health district has since issued, and as of yesterday, received a written copy of an approval for the development of the lot. So he has also demonstrated, the health district said it can support development.
Houses have been bought, I'm sorry, houses been bought and sold there a couple of times since
So,
then.
yeah.
No bank picked this up.
It's one of those, yeah, it's, well, also, if you go pre-2008, the banks were not doing the due diligence like they are now. So in fairness to Jordan, you know, when he was looking to purchase the property, came in, met with us. At the same time, his lender also has sent someone to do a title search, and this red flag popped up. And then we've been working with him on how to, you know, he wants to build a house. How do you legalize this lot in order to build a house here? So he's gone through all these steps to get here tonight.
Michael, is there any, and since it meets all the regs, regulations and requirements, is there any downsides at all to not verifying it? I mean, is there any reason not to?
Well, not validating it, you know, one could argue it opens to a legal conversation with the owner whether it would result in a takings. Because
But I mean, is there any reason for doing so?
as staff, I mean, this is administrative review, it meets your regs. So,
So I move to create a motion to validate this.
I actually,
Oh, I'm sorry. You probably wrote.
there's an attachment A that I passed out, should be next to your packet. It's a draft motion.
Oh, yes. Yes.
The only thing is that the commission should discuss is the application of open space requirements. Now, this was a lot that was created prior to open space requirements. So do you want to request an action of the commission? In my motion is a fee of $2,500, which has kind of been the flat rate that we've applied. Or you could say, you know what, we don't want to do it in this case because the division occurred prior to open space requirements. So that's really one question for the commission that I have. I mean, staff supports either action on that. And the applicant is aware of this, and they are commendable to the fee should the commission request the fee.
We are, but we will pay it, but I mean, me as a seller, you know, since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just
But if this had gone through proper channels, they wouldn't have paid it.
no,
Right,
there wouldn't have been
okay.
any open space
And so
Back
it's-
in the
back
in the
In
60s.
the
Right.
60s.
Right, but if it had gone through proper channels, we wouldn't be here today asking for this. Therefore,
You wouldn't be in this position.
so my position is, it's no fault of theirs that didn't go back 50 years ago. I feel like it's kind of unfair to ask them to pay it now if through no fault of their own. If, you know, I mean,
I don't know
that would
who's,
be my,
don't know who's responsible for this, but they're
Yeah.
not in the room, so
right,
I would waive that, would be my.
I'm in agreement with that.
yeah.
And like I said, I just proposed it just because, so we have that conversation.
Yeah,
We should
I think
be
we- I
doing
think
it.
it's-
I think we should.
So
But I think, you know.
So I move that we accept this text as a motion minus number 4.
Well, should be-
Oh, I should read it?
Yeah, please read it.
Okay,
Please read it.
Sorry. Of the whole thing. Oh, this is what I get for moving. A motion to approve application 19-01 of Jordan Bloomberg and Chloe Bloomberg, I hope I said that right, applicants.
Close enough.
Joseph M. Green, agent, John Ashmore, owner, for a one-lot subdivision on the property located at 62 Laurel Lane, Assessor's Map E06, Block 107, Lot 073B, Zone R25. Subdivision approval is subject to the following conditions. Number 1, prior to filing of plans, all property corners are to be marked as indicated on the approved plans. Applicant is to provide written confirmation from licensed surveyor that property corners have been marked in accordance with plan. Condition number 2, applicant is to provide 2 sets of Mylar drawings. Set 1 is just sheet 1 of 3, titled Zoning Location Survey for House Assessor's Lot 73B, prepared for Jordan Blumberg for filing with engineering, and set 2 of sheet 1 of 3 and existing conditions sheet for filing with town clerk. Third condition is erosion and sediment control plan is approved as submitted. And the fourth requirement is after filing of Mylars,
Actually, Holly,
I
you will
think
not
we
have to
can
do
scratch that
condition
one, too.
number 5 since you're not.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, and that's the only conditions for this motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Aaron. Any discussion, Dave?
Did the other lots, I'm looking at the brown and the sepia colored one on the document.
Mm-hmm.
The previous cuts from the original lot, did they pay an open space fee?
No.
Nor was there dedication of open space.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
all of these divisions.
It would seem unfair to,
Actually, the brown and let's call it the tan,
right?
that are just below the green, those two divisions actually predate subdivision regulations. The subdivision regulations first approved in Simsbury
I see 1939.
1941.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, back to the agenda.
Mike, can we get a legend of what all the zones are? Is it possible to have a cheat sheet for us? Or
Yes.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
What do you mean by that? You mean,
It's not in here. I thought
Like a
we put
bulk-
it
a
in,
well,
right?
Mike
chart.
printed out a color.
Yeah,
Print.
what I could do is also, would you like one of the bulk charts, then it shows
Can I
where
just
the
borrow that, Holly?
Yeah, you know what, I have
Excuse
that,
me,
and I
Alan.
don't know. Okay, yes, that's exactly
So
what I
here's all these zones.
Can I get another copy?
Only one to a customer.
I know.
It's a $5
I know,
for
exactly. Well, it's probably at home, but yeah, I just want to keep it in here, it's helpful.
Okay.
We should have added that.
I'll bring yours.
What was that?
I said Holly gets extra points.
She does, she
She
does.
brought it.
Okay, still under old business, we have no referrals. I believe that's still the case, Mr.
Correct.
Glidden?
That's correct.
Under new business, we are in receipt of a new application, and it's kind of like a continuation of a previous application. This is for the 80 Climax Road appeal. Continuation, I'm going to call it a continuation, but it's been remanded back to this commission by the Connecticut, I don't know which court, Superior Court. If you remember, just briefly, I'm going to recap this. The application was denied on, I think, 10 or 11 points. But upon appeal, the judge ruled that all but 3 of those points of denial were invalid. So the orders from the judge were to give the applicant an opportunity to present additional data that was asked for in, more or less asked for in the statement of denial. So just for the record, there's application 16-02, Mansour Prime Properties, LLC agent, Royce Palmer, owner, for a 19-lot affordable housing subdivision under Connecticut General Statute 8-30G. On the property located at 80 Climax Road, Assessor's Map D20, Block 608, Lot 001, Zone R40. We'll talk about the public hearing in just a second. But I'd like to ask Mr. Glidden to explain the timing of what's going on based on the judge's order.
Okay. So I think the commission may recall, so the order came out, and one of the things that the judge requested, as Chairman Rice indicated, was giving the applicant some time to address some of the engineering comments in conditions 7, 8, and 9 of the reasons for denial. And he gave a timetable that basically the applicant had to the end of the calendar month of February to submit to town staff updated documents. They did on February 26th. Town staff reviewed it, and then you have the report from Jeff Shea. So that report is required to be sent to the commission, so that is technically your application you've received. And that, what now will occur is pursuant to the judge's order, the judge ordered a public hearing to be held specific to these reasons why, the 3 reasons that it was for denial. So it's just basically we're discussing those matters only at the public hearing. So this is on your agenda because we need an action of the commission to set a public hearing date. We've suggested April 23rd as the date for the public hearing, just so that we can get our notification requirements fulfilled and advertisements in the newspaper. So.
Okay, so we weren't going to discuss this in any further detail tonight. I'll make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for application 16-02 to be held at our next regularly scheduled meeting, which is April 23rd, 2019.
No, you have a meeting between now and then. So
I'm sorry,
it'll
not
just be April.
our regularly scheduled meeting on April 23rd, 2019. That was a motion.
I second.
Any discussion?
So I'm not available, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't go forward.
All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, on to general commission business. Before we get to any potential correspondence, I just want to check with Holly and see if you went to the Regional Planning Commission meeting
Yes, I
last
did.
week.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you found that it was a different room than usual.
I don't know what the usual.
You don't know the
room is.
difference.
I was
Yep.
surprised to find out that the Connecticut legislature had kind of nullified the planning portion of the regional government. That meeting,
The RPC, Regional Planning Commission,
yeah,
has been dissolved.
well, yeah, or not dissolved so much as not required anymore. It was no longer picked up as far as the rest of the legislation around the regional governments. It
Does
is
that ring a
no
bell with you,
longer
Mike?
necessary to have the
I'm not aware of it, but I know that one of the things that was supposed to go for regional planning agencies this session was to recognize them as counties for bonding purposes and grant purposes. But I mean, they have a very, very limited role in Connecticut. I mean, really, it's transportation planning, it's
big one.
coordination of plan of conservation developments. But in that sense, they're just referrals. In the other is zoning referrals when it's matters that affect properties that abut adjoining communities.
Yeah.
And then that's usually at the regional planning commission meetings. I'm sure, I don't want to steal anyone's thunder, but they usually give those reports on those kind of applications, so you know what's going on in the region. But they have a very limited role by statute. That's existing statute.
So, Holly, is there a change?
Well, the staff of our region
Yeah.
sees value in getting the planners together.
Mhm.
They asked whether the planners saw value in it. If so, should they still meet there? Should they meet somewhere else? Should they meet at another time? At the same time, they were taking, they were electing a new chairman and
Mhm.
vice chairman, and so they went ahead with the election. They decided to still meet at that location in West Hartford until such time as people thought another place would be good, because evidently down in downtown Hartford they have their own meeting rooms too. And so the planner for transportation gave us an overview of the transportation plan, which, as Mike said, is the whole reason we even have this whole central government, because it's, I guess, the federal government to be allowed to spend transportation money requires these planning regions around metropolitan areas, and so that was it.
So the Capital Region Council of Governments is still intact?
Right.
The Regional Planning Commission is still intact? Or
Well, it's still a meeting.
is it unfunded by CROG or no?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, they have I don't know, was there funding for it?
Well, the staff members,
Staff.
get paid.
Well, so I guess the staff planning function still exists and they're still paid, but there's no longer the necessity to meet with the regional members of the planning commissions. But enough people seem to find value in it to continue the practice.
The
share
next meeting
ideas.
is still scheduled.
And I'm still going to it, and then it's all you. I'm just the alternate.
All right, thanks for that update, Holly. And Dave, do I understand that you're going to ask Holly to attend the next one as well? Or,
That was news to me. I thought I was going to the next one, but we can both go.
Oh, I had in my notes that you said you couldn't make that
I
one.
couldn't make the one that you attended this time.
Oh, okay, well then it's,
He's the primary.
okay.
That's,
Yeah.
Yes, by all
That's right.
means.
that's why I need to know when it's going to be, though.
Oh, I am subordinate to you on that one. You just let me know. I had a note that I was supposed to attend first too.
Well, I may ask you to do that. You're into this now.
okay, Mr. Glidden, any further correspondence, any information the commission should receive?
Just to give you a heads up, there was a transfer of one of the lot that was approved off West Mountain Road, the corner of West Mountain Roswell, and they paid their fee in lieu of open space. So that's actually your first fee you've ever collected for open space. There's a few other. You have $2,500 in that account.
That's a perfect example of where
Didn't we
the...
collect any last year?
So we have
None sold?
one, two other approvals that are out there with fees. However, they've yet to transfer any of the lots. So this was the first transaction. So we even
we're
had a
making
smiley
money for
face on the check.
city.
Well, that's a good example, that subdivision, was a two-lot subdivision. And it was really, it didn't back up to any other open space. There was nothing to connect one open space to another. So I think this is an excellent example of where fee in lieu of is very effective.
Yeah.
Then it can be used for other
Right.
open space.
Yep, we can buy a $2,500 piece of property.
Or bench.
Okay, there's more to come.
It's like a median.
Okay, that concludes the agenda. Someone want to make a motion?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.